Hi garden friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Era and this is Gardening on Purpose. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're a subscriber, welcome back. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. I garden in Georgia, Zone 8A. It's July and it's time for a backyard tour. As usual, I'm starting in the shade garden, and here you know I have hostas, heucheras, brunneras, lungwort, and something else. I also have some bleeding hearts and some stilby and ferns here. And, you know, I water my plants. It's been raining, but no real rain to speak about. I think the rains that do come, they only spend 10 to 15 minutes and they don't penetrate the soil enough, especially my soil. I have clay, so it takes a lot of water to penetrate soil. So the shade garden, you know, it's looking okay. It could look better than this. And you guys know because of the heat, no matter how much you water, the water evaporates really fast. So the plants are constantly in need of water. But I'm still proud and happy as to how my garden looks. As you know, this area here is really only a year and a half old. So I'm thinking, as things go to sleep and come back, they'll get bigger and better. But one of the hostas that is not really, you know, they don't really care about what's happening. They will still perform. And this is the Royal Standard right here. That's the Royal Standard hosta sitting right next to this lungwort that needs some water. So different plants respond to different things. So yeah, so this is the remainder of the garden. And here we are in the middle of July. Nothing much I can do except keep watering and looking for any diseases and making sure everything looks great. As I come further up, you know, this is also a part shade area here, and these lungworts look way better than the ones I just showed you. These guys here, again, guys, these are ferns. These are the ferns that go to sleep. And even though they're in the shade, they're only in the sun up until maybe 11 o'clock. And I'm, you know, this is what they do every July and in August. They burn a little bit, and I need to move them. They looked great when they came up, like in March, April, May, June, they were fine. But in July, they're crunchy because even though they're in the sun only up until 11 o'clock, they're getting too much sun because it's July. So I'm definitely going to move those next year. But everybody else in this bed looks fine. It's because you can see the Lenten rose right here, also known as a hellebore. And this tough guy here is I think it's called a watermelon heuchera, this guy here. Got this from Walmart years ago, and this guy is not bothered by the sun. I wish I could find some more because I like this one. A lot of the heucheras that I have, they do get crunchy when they get too much sun, even though they call themselves, even they claim that they can take a little bit more sun. But this guy here, that watermelon heuchera here, that guy can take some sun. Also here are some of my endless summer hydrangeas. They're looking rough. Now here I am in the morning. It's 7:30 in the morning, and they are stressed out from yesterday. Yesterday we were so, I mean, it was out of control, guys. It was 95 degrees. So these plants here, they're pretty much done. But what I'm going to end up doing, to be honest with you guys, these guys here are the bloomstruck hydrangeas. I'm going to actually move them. Again, I've said this before, these guys here are in the sun up until 12 and it's still too much sun. So they're going in the shade. And I think I remember somebody in my comments in one of my videos when I asked about my shade garden, which I'll show you later, my other shade garden in the front. Somebody told me that they had theirs in the shade. And I said to myself, I wonder how it blooms. But I prefer it to bloom less than to get crunchy like that. Also here, you might notice I have some cardboard down, and that's because I'm showing some weeds coming through on the wood chips, so I'm trying to smother those weeds, and then I might get some more wood chips and put on top of these cardboards. Cardboards does really well for me. As you guys know, I don't use landscape fabric in my backyard garden beds, nor I only use landscape fabric when I'm putting under rocks or something, but definitely not in the actual garden. Yeah, it's been really hot, guys, and things are looking dry, things are looking crispy, but some things are looking great. Some things are done blooming, some things are in the middle of blooming, and some things are beginning to shut down. So here you have this guy here. This is a Chapel Hill lantana. I talk about it a lot because I'm really impressed with it, and I'm really hoping that it stays in the garden for quite a while. Bought this in a 2-quart, a small 2-quart, and this guy has taken off, especially since we are constantly in the 90s. This thing has been like, go full speed ahead, full speed ahead. Love it because this is pretty much like, I would say, 5 times the size I bought it, and it is loved by the butterflies. This is the #1 plant in my garden for butterflies. They swarm at it every single day. So this guy here, I think is hardly to 0 degrees. We don't get to 0, so I'm really hoping that it comes back. Right next to that is the Royal Candle Veronica. This is a second go around. It bloomed really nicely earlier. I pruned it, I cut it back, I cut all the spent blooms off, and it came right back. So I'm really happy to report this beauty here. We've got 2 of those. And then further on, I'm noticing that my encore azaleas are not really blooming in summer, which is okay, and it's happened before. When we get a bad summer, like summer as in like a lot of heat, a lot of humidity, and no rain, even though the encore azaleas are supposed to bloom 3 times a year, sometimes they just don't because the plant is stressed, right? So here I have Autumn Majesty, and I believe an Autumn Starburst and an Autumn Lily, and they've bloomed in the summer, but this year it doesn't look like they're going to because they're not even budded up. They look all the way stressed out, and that does happen. There's nothing wrong with the plant. There's nothing I did wrong. So if you notice that your encore azaleas are not blooming, it could be the heat or the humidity, stress of all this sun and no rain. Here we have this beauty here. This is the Pearl Glam Beauty Berry. This Pearl Glam Beauty Berry is really, really pretty. Bought this as a 1-quart, guys. A simple 1-quart I bought on Proven Winners Direct 2 years ago. And this thing has turned into a monster in a good way. It blooms in the summer, late spring into the summer, and it has these white blooms, right? And then what's going to happen in the fall is going to turn into these beautiful purple berries. Really, really nice. This plant also is great for pollinators, and you can see it has a vase-like habit, and you can see all the white blooms down here. And sometimes, I think it's because the sun has been beaten down on it, but sometimes this foliage actually has a more of a purpley hue. Really, really nice plant in my garden. I'm so happy to report that my Diamond Spire gardenia is doing well. Not only is it doing well, it's trying to bloom. It's trying to do something. See that guy right here? That's a new bloom. And what's even more exciting is that the plant, when I bought this guy, I think it snowed the next day. And it got beat up a little bit by the snow. And it was a clearance plant too, but it came back with a vengeance. Look at all that new green growth. Now, you guys know I struggle with gardenia. I have August Beauty, Frostproof, and Jubilation, and they all don't look that great. And those, I also did buy clearance plants, but you know my clearance plants are a different type because, you know, they just look great. But for whatever reason, gardenia has never flourished in my yard. So I'm putting all my stock in Diamond Spire, because I don't want to give up on gardenia because they smell really nice, and I want it to get really nice and big and smell really nice in the backyard. But it just hasn't been that for me in the last 4 years. But I'm putting all my stock in this guy here because I'm really liking it. It looks different from all the other type of gardenias, and I'm happy to report that it has some really nice foliage. And I have 2 of these. So here's one right here, and here's another one right there looking great. Remember those butterfly weeds? I had bought these years ago, and they don't come back for me, but they do seed around the yard. What happens is when those seed pods, and let me show you the seed pods I'm talking about, when these, for whatever reason, this plant fell, when these seed pods begin to, the wind starts to blow, and these seed pods get blown all over the yard, what's going to happen is next year, this particular plant won't come back, but the seed pods that got, thrown all over the place, they will pop up somewhere else in the garden. So I like this because this is great for the butterflies. The bees love it too. And if you have a butterfly garden, this is one of the plants that you definitely want to have because the butterflies go nuts for this guy here. I bought it from Home Depot for $16 years ago, and it has reseeded all over the place and come back in my garden every single year. I have a lot of cutting back to do, guys, because a lot of plants are done with their blooms. I already started with this daisy here. Right there, I already cut that guy back, but I need to cut this guy back and this guy back. My phlox, this particular phlox here is the lavender one here. He has been doing so well in the yard, guys. I'm so happy. All the phlox, if I had to think, all but the newest ones I bought like last month were actually, I think I bought them from Lowe's, and they were the Monrovia brand, and they do well in my yard. Here is the famous white-eye phlox right here next to this beauty here. I can't remember the name of this particular one here, but the famous white-eye phlox does really, really well in my yard. Also in this bed, for whatever reason, this guy here, my Russian sage, is looking weary, and you have to be really careful because Russian sage doesn't like a lot of water. And it's tempting to water and water and water, but especially since I lost a Russian sage last year from it probably being too wet, I definitely am not gonna water it. What I'll do before I water is I'll cut it back and wait, because this guy here is supposed to be a drought-tolerant plant. It's supposed to not require that much water, and I just think that has something to do with the terrible heat that we've been having. My pancake arborvitaes are looking great. Love this little arborvitae here. Doesn't require too much attention. It's not going to grow that big, but it does really, really well in my yard. This guy here turns a really nice rusty orange in the fall. So I'll definitely keep you updated on that guy here. Here is my orange rocket barberry. This one doesn't seem to be bothered too much by the heat. It's not as orange as I'd like it, but I think it's because of the sun. I really think it's the heat because it's been really, really orange, hence the name Orange Rocket. But you can see the new foliage looks like, orangey coral. I have a bunch of these in my yard. Here is my Rose Creek Abelia. This is one of the plants that's coming into its own. Abelia is one of the shrubs that blooms heavily later on in the season. It is a beauty, loved by the hummingbirds and the butterflies. Why? Because they have these shaped blooms right here. They love anything that's shaped like a trumpet. Really, really nice. And I got this again on clearance. It doesn't grow as tall as the Canyon Creek, which I'll show you a little bit later in this video. But I love me some Abelia, guys, because when everybody else is done blooming, everybody else is looking tired, this is when Abelia comes in to show off. Also here I want to show you my sunshine ligustrums right next to my loropetalum. As you guys know, I'm a fan of purple, I'm a fan of yellow, I'm a fan of blue. And anything that is blue and yellow or yellow and purple look really, really great. And as you can see, here's my sunshine ligustrum, the yellow guy, right next to the loropetalum, and it looks really, really great. Both are evergreen, both do well in my yard. The loropetalum blooms in the spring, and the sunshine ligustrum does not bloom, but it doesn't need to bloom because when you look like that, you really don't have to do any flowering. I'm in my back bed, that big, tall, long back bed, and I'm just going to show you what's in here. A lot of my daylilies are pretty much done and just need to be cut back. Daylilies they look kind of ratty when they're done doing what they're doing, but all this requires is for me to pull out all of the spent stems. You see this guy here? This is how easy daylilies are good to clean up. Once you see these brown stems right here, you just pull it out. They come out so easy. And then you cut it back. This guy here is my eryngium, also known as the sea holly. Whatever reason, it did not do well. It bloomed, but the stalk, the thing that actually bloomed, it fell and it stayed on the ground for too long. I don't know what it is, because last year it did perfectly fine. I was so happy. I was showing it off. So I had two. So here's one, and another one was right there and it died. So this one might die too. They might be short-lived, I don't know, but that's what the story is with my eryngium. Here is my Mexican petunia, another one that is actually a late bloomer. What I like about these is that they are purple. You guys know I'm a fan of purple. And I also like their dark stems. You see those stems right there? Anything that has dark stems is really nice. And sometimes when it's not this hot, you can actually see the foliage as well is also a nice, like gives you a little purple hue. These Mexican petunias, they only bloom for a day. So once this guy blooms, it falls off and then this guy will open up. So it's constant blooms throughout the season. Also here are my arborvitaes. And then, of course, this guy here is my Crystal Peak obedient plant. I don't want to put this guy in the garden because I know they can be aggressive. Even though it doesn't look to be doing absolutely amazing in the container, maybe I just need a bigger container. I'm just so scared to put this guy in the ground because I don't want anything to take over the garden. Here's the Canyon Creek Abelia that I mentioned earlier. This guy is a beauty. Another clearance plant from Lowe's. Another plant that is a great buy on my part because this plant has done so well. I can't even stop talking about it. This is what the blooms look like. And sometimes the bees, they're pretty much doing gymnastics from one flower to another. They absolutely love Canyon Creek Abelia. Now, this guy here, now it's early in the morning, but I think he slept over. I think he slept the night, guys. See him right here? I think he slept the night. He's not moving, so I think he's still sleeping. He decided that he wasn't going to go home last night and that he was going to stay and then just wake up and continue eating. That's what he's doing. And that happens a lot here. Even on one of my other plants, one of my salvias, I noticed that too. The bees don't go. They actually decide to stay and continue. But yeah, the Canyon Creek Abelia, the one thing about it is that it doesn't grow in uniformity. It's all over the place with the growth habit. So if you like that, then it's a perfect plant for you. If not, then you're going to have to find yourself constantly pruning it. But I love it. And this guy, again, it is gearing up to put on a show. Look at all those new buds and all those blooms. I've got some more phlox that are doing well here. Now, this guy here, half of him got beat up by the tree. When that tree fall right in that line, now here's this grass right there. I need to pull it. Here's one of the phlox got hit by the tree. So this one got hit and this one got hit. I'm happy to report that this guy here decided to bloom. This guy here didn't get hit by the tree, but isn't this beautiful guy? This is flame, I think it's called flame coral phlox. And I think it was something from Monrovia as well. It looks like my Agastaki is almost done blooming. I'm kind of bummed about it because I love this plant so much. And it is loved by the hummingbirds every single day. There's 3 and 4 hummingbirds on this plant. This is the #1 hummingbird plant in my yard. Also behind that, don't know how I ended up planting this Agastaki so close to this Gora. This Gora has not been performing well this year at all, guys. Now, it is blooming. I can see a bloom here, a bloom there, those pink guys. But when I had Gora over the years, this thing was blooming and blooming. I'm going to have to move it. For whatever reason, Gora is not doing well lately, and I just don't know what the story is. Hopefully, it's still got, it's still going to bloom because it's supposed to be blooming already. Even though Gora is one of the plants. Now, this one is I think it's called Belize Pink or Belize Red. One of those Belizes. And this guy here is supposed to bloom all the way down to the fall. So maybe it's just it's going to bloom late this year. Now, here are my coneflowers. They're looking rough. I don't cut my coneflowers back. I leave my coneflowers for the goldfinches. And I've already saw some goldfinches. They are hanging around, waiting on the seeds because they know there's a lot of seeds here to be had. And I make a point, I cut back a lot of stuff in my yard and give them a chance for a second, even a third bloom. That I do with salvias and veronicas, but not coneflowers. Coneflowers, I let them bloom, let them go to the seed, and I let the goldfinches have it. So that's why they're looking like that. And this is a combination of the purple coneflower, the Cheyenne Spirit, and then also the artisan version of coneflowers. You guys know butterfly bushes love the heat, so they are just looking great here in the yard. This particular one here is the this one is the Pugster Periwinkle by Proven Winners. An absolutely amazing plant, very reliable, no complaints about it. I mean, yes, I've actually already begun to deadhead it, and it's like the more I deadhead, the more the plant blooms. Because you can see, I just took something off the middle right there, and you can see these two little guys right here are getting ready to come out. So with butterfly bushes, you know, some of them, they need to be cut back so they can generate new foliage and then bloom. But it looks like these guys here, they just bloom and bloom and bloom. So that is the back bed. Also wanted to show you my limelight hydrangeas. You guys remember these were clearance plants from Lowe's, and they were looking rough, 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 rough. But you guys know when I came home, I cut it back, it regenerated, I put it in the ground last year, and it's coming back and looking great. Now these guys here, they weren't getting as much sun as they needed to because they were kind of under it. Well, not they're not under the tree, but they're at the edge of the canopy of the tree. So I started to cut parts of the tree off because ultimately I'm going to cut those trees down anyway, and they began to bloom more. The only thing with these is that they turn white and look really, really nice, and then after a while they turn brown because it's the South, you know. So we don't get a chance to really enjoy it for long, long like others in the North, because once that heat hits them, they're like, okay, we're done. But they will continue to bloom and they will turn brown fast, but you can still leave it and, you know, make a whole thing out of it in the winter and everything. Yeah, this is what this guy is looking like. Here we are in the middle of July. Here's another view of the yard, guys. I was just in this back bed right here. So let's just see what's happening in this other bed here. Look at that big weed right there. It's just like the more I pull, it's like they show up. They literally just show up. Okay, so here we have two Autumn Joy sedums. You guys know it's my favorite perennial in the yard, and they are getting ready to give a show, because these guys here, they bloom in the late summer into the late fall. One of my favorite plants. Now here is, remember I told you about the salvia that the bees like to stay over the night? This is it right here. This is the Mystic Spire. Now I can tell this guy here, him, he's sleeping. He's been here all night. The other guys who are buzzing around, they came by. So one of the number one plants for bees in this garden, guys. Really, really nice. Really, really great. Bought this plant at Kroger, outside of the Kroger store. Didn't really know too much about it. Brought it home, planted it. I didn't think it was going to come back. I actually thought it was an annual salvia. And it came back, and it's looking absolutely amazing. Another late bloomer that does really, really well in my yard and brings in different types of pollinators is the Beyond Midnight Bluebeard that has these really nice purpley blue foliage. They have a pink version of it, Proven Winners do, and I'm looking to get that one as well because it's really, really great. Another plant that I bought the same time I bought that Pearl Glam Beautyberry. I had bought a bunch of plants in that same order. It was the Pearl Glam Beautyberry, this guy here, 3 Roses Sharons, and 2 roses. The roses did not make it, but the other guys did, and the other guys that did, they are flourishing. My lilies are pretty much done. The Oriental lilies are pretty much done blooming. So I leave these up so they can take in the sunlight, and then once it starts getting red and turning yellow, that's when I cut it back. But I make a point not to cut my lily foliage back until it's done doing exactly what it's doing, because the whole point of leaving this up is to make sure that it has all the energy and the nutrients it needs for next year. This uptick Coreopsis is doing great in my yard. Another plant that doesn't mind too much of the sun. The only downside to Coreopsis in my experience is that, you know, they need to be deadheaded. If you don't deadhead them, they're going to look something like this, right? And of course you want to deadhead, because the more you deadhead, then the more it will regenerate new bloom. So that's one thing I have to come back out here and take care of. But it's a beauty, a really nice ray of sunshine in this garden when things are beginning to wane. Here is another butterfly bush. I don't know. I think this one is called Pugster. I don't remember the name of this particular one here, but it's again from Proven Winners. And look at how budded up it is. It's like the 90 something degrees doesn't matter for butterfly bush. This is what the foliage looks like. This is what the blooms look like. Here's a more mature bloom right there. Really, really nice. It has more of a lavender hue. Here's my pride and joy. This is the autumn joy sedum I've had for years. I've divided this thing so many times, and the more I divide, guys, the more it comes back and just fills my heart whenever I think about the autumn joy sedum, because my autumn joy sedum never really disappears from the garden. It will get to the point where I have to pull all the old foliage back and everything, but there's always new little guys coming up at the roots. Really, really enjoy this plant. This particular coneflower is doing great, but they all are, although, again, some of them are showing signs of wear and tear. So here's one type of coneflower. I think this is called, it's not red orange. I think it's red ombre. And then this guy here, really nice. This really nice orange one. And these guys here, they have more of a flat surface versus the orange. This one's actually called the orange one. And, your foliage looks kind of rough, but it's a combination of just wear and tear from the sun, guys. I mean, and no rain. I hand water, and it's been really, really rough on me hand watering. I did notice that one of my bee balms is not going to make it, guys. You see that? That was where bee balm was. I had two bee balms. Here's one right here. I think it's called Pocahontas Red. And they were fine. I've had these things for at least 3 years. And all of a sudden, this guy decided that he was pretty much done. So I have to figure out what I'm going to do about that. Here is a daylily bed. And also I have some encore azaleas in here as well. But daylilies do really, really well in my yard. And like I said earlier, they're pretty easy to clean up. They're pretty much done because they went to seed. I could have cut this back, all of these. I can see the seed right here. Well, this is not the seed. This is one last bloom right here that's going to come out. But I think I already cut the seeds off. But if you don't cut the thing back before it actually seeds, then you're not going to get any more blooms. So that's probably the last bloom, and we're only in July, but that's fine. I have enough daylilies to take me through to the winter. I've been really impressed with my coneflowers, guys. Really, really impressed. These guys I planted from seed, and they were all budded up and ready to put on a show. I can't wait. I used to buy coneflowers by the coneflower plant. Not coneflower, I'm sorry. Why am I saying coneflower? Sunflower. Sunflower. I planted these sunflower seeds from scratch, and I usually buy the sunflower plant, but they're kind of expensive. And to be honest with you, I really didn't see any this season. So I said, let me buy some seeds. And I bought some seeds, and they are doing absolutely amazing. This particular one here, I think is called something roundabout, magic roundabout. And you can tell it's going to be really, really nice. This one has more of a yellowy and red, and I'll definitely show it to you when it starts to bloom. These guys are just pretty much at my level. So it is 5'7". They probably have 1 more inch before they get, tall like me. But oh my goodness, guys, I'm really impressed. Let me know if you plant sunflower seeds in your yard and how they do. The edible garden is doing great. A lot of wear and tear, a lot of stress, because I do grow in grow bags. So it's already bad enough that a container dries out fast, but grow bags, they dry out the fastest. So I constantly have to water this, but the plants are looking great. I've got zucchini and squash and beans and everything in here, and so far so good. So far so good that I already see some fruiting. Now, one thing I want to show you, you see that bee pollinating right there? The bee is in my vegetable garden pollinating my plants, so I don't have to hand pollinate. And that's another thing why I have so many flowers, because with the flowers comes the bees. And you guys know, if your flowers are not pollinated, they won't do well. Same thing here. If the plants are not pollinated, you're not going to get any fruits. So I'm happy to see all those bees in my edible garden. But I wanted to show you this guy here. Here I have a cucumber, the first cucumber of the season. Now I know a lot of you already had cucumbers and it's kind of late, but you already know that I started the garden late this year because I was on vacation, so everything's going to come in a little later than usual. But I've got a cucumber right here, and I've also got a watermelon right there. There's a watermelon right there. So I'm happy. I think it's called Bush Baby watermelon. So I'll definitely keep you updated. But otherwise, the vegetable garden or the edible garden is looking fine. Here are all my summer containers. Some are looking good, some are not looking that good. So here in the front, I've got stuff like, and most of my containers for the summer are going to be annuals, but I do have a perennial here or there. But here I have canna lilies. So these canna lilies are getting ready to do something, right? And then I also have diplodenia and snapdragon. Also got lantana, vinca. I've got petunia and vinca, butterfly bush and calibrachoa. But I definitely don't want to skip by this guy. This is the delphinium that is pretty much done. Same thing here. This is the foxglove that's pretty much done. So I definitely don't want to just show you the good because this is what it's looking like right now. And I'm just going to cut that back, and that's done for the season. They bloom once. I don't cut them back. I don't even know if they will come back if I cut them back a second time in the same season. But again, it's not a big deal. It was a beauty. It was really nice and blue. And then you have the petunias right here. On the other side, because I have what I have. I think I have like 12 containers on this little area here where I sit. Again, more petunias, but these are more of the purple guys, and then more of the canna lilies, and of course one of my favorite annuals is the marigold, and possibly my favorite annual is the Mexican heather because it's small but it's quite mighty. So this is what this area is looking like, guys. One of the cheeriest spots in the yard is where I have these black-eyed Susans. These guys here, you remember I told you I don't know the name of it, but what I do know about it is that it is a beautiful, very reliable, and it grows really fast. I've divided this thing so many times, it's out of control because it just seems to do even better the more I divide. But I've done notice right here that I have a little opening area, and that's a dead giveaway that I need to divide again. So that's actually not a bad thing because I have a lot of spots on the side yard that I need new plants for, and I can already see this guy here. Let me see. I can divide it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants out of this guy here, and then still leave one there for the next season. I've cut my salvia back, and they're pretty much done. They've already been cut back twice. I need to cut this daisy back. But guys, I'm so happy to report. Now, I don't talk about this plant too much, and it's not on purpose. It's just that sometimes I forget about it because it's a low-growing plant, and it blooms later on in the season, right? So this guy here is a Japanese anemone. This one is the Fall in Love Sweetly by Proven Winners. Last year it did not bloom. I don't know what it is. But what I do realize is that this thing actually spreads. At first I was worried like, oh my God, it's spreading all over the place. But the way it's spreading, I can divide it really nicely, right? So I can have somewhere to put this also in my side yard. I'm trying to get to the point, guys, where I'm going to be shopping from my yard and don't have to buy plants anymore. So this guy is a really nice, beautiful, reddy pink. And as you can see, it's all budded up. All over, all budded up. I'm excited, and I can't wait to show it to you when it's actually in full bloom. All my clearance plants are still not in the ground, guys. It is just too hot to be planting anything. The plant will not do well. It will stress out. You're going to find yourself watering. You're going to find yourself wondering what's happening. You're going to try to water, and then the plant is likely going to die. So I am not planting anything until things cool off. And things are not cooling off anytime soon. But where I have them, they're actually in part sun. So they're in the sun up until 1, which means I don't have to water them because if all these guys are full sun plants, guys, but I can't put them in full sun right now at 90 something degrees, because then I'm going to have to water every single day, 2 and 3 times a day, to prevent them from drying out, especially since they are in a 1 gallon or less. Some are in a 2 gallon, but the smaller the container, the more easily it dries out and the faster you're going to find yourself watering. So I've decided to leave them right here and just water them once a day, and they're out the sun by 1 o'clock and they seem to be doing fine. It looks like I'm probably not going to get to planting these guys until around September or even sometime in August when things really cool down into the low 80s, might I say. We don't know. So we'll see. But that's what these are doing here. That is pretty much it for the backyard, guys. Let me know how it's been going. It's been really, really hot all over the country. I mean, I think we all think that our area is getting hotter and hotter, or ours is the hottest, but my goodness, guys, we have not been getting any rain to speak of. When that rain comes, it just like 5 minutes, it looks all nice and dark, and I'm thinking, yes, we're going to get a lot of rain. And then it just rains for 2 seconds, and then that's it. And then I still have to come out of here and water. So let me know how your garden is doing. How's it holding up to the summer heat? How are you watering? Have you given up? Are you still out there planting? Please let me know. Please like, please share, and please subscribe. Remember to hit that notification bell so you can be alerted on all my new videos. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.